Thank you, councillors. I declare the meeting opened at 6:32 p.m. I move to the notice of motion 336, and I understand that the mover is Councillor Hughes. Hughes, thank you.
Look, I've put this forward because due to a whole range of issues changing in the areas, which happens as an overall, there is problems occurring for our areas. And Lidcombe is a centralised area, and it's just a continuation that's been going on. So just at the moment, though, I do have a couple of questions. So firstly, do council roads have weight limits? Through you, to the General Manager. Do council roads have weight limits?
Through you, Mayor, Councillor Hughes, some of our roads do. I would need to come back to you with the details of what those roads are, but they do have weight limits. Some of them do.
Terrific. And so can we vary the weight limits on local roads?
Through you, Mayor, Council has that ability to vary the weight limits, should it need to, but that'll have to be a discussion for the Traffic Committee and other associated committees.
Okay. And is there a map that is delineating any B-double routes? And if so, can you provide that copy?
Through you, Mayor. Yeah, Councillor, yes. Councillor Hughes, yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you for that. The residential amenity in the Regents Park ward, but obviously I have a specific item here is in regards to Lidcombe, is just getting out of touch. Unfortunately, we've got some close light industrial areas that are close to residential areas. It impacts them enormously with the amount of traffic that is going through, and of course with the outstanding issues that then occurs with the roads themselves. They get ripped apart pretty quickly. A lot of people are very concerned about the heavy vehicle movements within the area, and even so much as an hour before leaving home to come here today, someone phoned me and had a problem about a particular circumstance, again relating to the types of traffic. So it's not only the current, but then of course moving on from that, it's then the future and the follow-ons. And so any commentary that I've been receiving, it's just highlighted, and even some people have said to me they've already phoned the state member wanting to see what can be done. So hence, with some of the routing that comes to the main town centres and then having to go around just some of the local roads, it's just impacting enormously. And that is why I am putting this forward, to note these concerns and to, as it says there, to write to the Minister for Roads and also for the state member to raise these issues of concern.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Garrard, did you wish to speak?
Madam Mayor, look, I'd have to agree with the concerns raised by Councillor Hughes regarding truck movements, and I think we all have to be concerned about truck movements through our area and how they relate to our road system. Look, I'd like to ask Mr. Cavallo, through you, Madam Chair, is there any DAs in the council which would contribute to truck movements through the Lidcombe area?
Councillor Garrard, I would ask you to be mindful of the fact that our legislation... Excuse me, Councillor Elmore, would you please take your seat? Yeah, Councillor Garrard, if you're asking questions in relation to particular DAs, you need to be mindful of the fact that you need to be mindful of the fact that our legislation precludes the council from making decisions or being a consent authority in relation to DAs that are determined either by our officers or by our planning panel. And I just ask you to be mindful of that.
Authority, though.
We are not the consent authority as a council, as a group of councillors. We are not.
No, I know we aren't. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know, do we have any DAs in Lidcombe that might contribute further to our truck congestion?
Through the Mayor, Councillor, I'll have to take on notice any specific details on DAs in the area.
Fair enough. Well, I saw one advertised recently, and council is going through the exhibition period at the moment about one at 109 Church Street, Lidcombe. But I'm not going to talk about 109A Church Street, Lidcombe at all.
And please don't, Councillor.
And I'm certainly not here to do that. Nor am I here to highlight how truck movements can destroy the residential amenity of an area. So again, I'm not going to discuss in any detail at all how any DA, such as 109A Church Street, would affect the residents. So I won't go down that track, but I am very concerned about the road network through Lidcombe and how it could well be affected by truck movements. The pressure that trucks are putting on our road network is costing us a big penny in this council. We've been talking about money tonight. They're breaking up our roads, and it's not only in Lidcombe, of course. Truck movements are coming right through our city area, and there are DAs around, such as ones that could be discussed tonight, that will be centring on Lidcombe, that come from the north, south, east and west of this area, so that all the roads that lead into Lidcombe are going to be under enormous stress. It won't just be the Lidcombe roads that suffer. For instance, it's my understanding that, and I'm not here to discuss the DA at 109 Church Street, Lidcombe, but I know that DA, and I read the information about it, has 118 truck movements per day coming into.
Councillor Garrard, please take your seat.
And I won't
take your seat.
I won't discuss that. But I won't discuss that.
I ask you to take your seat. I want some legal advice before we continue. Thank you. Mr McFadyen, can you please advise as to whether this is an appropriate matter for the council this evening?
Through you, Mayor, under Section 4.8 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, the functions of the council as a consent authority are not exercisable by the councillors. Those functions include those under Division 4.3 of the Act, which go to the assessment and merit of development applications, and so that's not something that's within council's power to deal with.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr McFadyen. You've heard that advice, Councillor Garrard. I would strongly urge you not to discuss development applications any further.
I won't discuss.
I will strongly urge you not to raise any development application, Councillor.
I certainly won't. I certainly won't, Madam Mayor, but I won't accept any movement in industry that is going to further congest the roads of Cumberland. Our Cumberland road network is under enormous stress, and there are some in this industry, particularly the waste management industry, and I might add, this council has vehicles that service our residents, and some of these vehicles are quite a size. But there are larger vehicles, Madam Mayor, some up to B-doubles, for instance, that are going through our area and that are ripping the heart out of our roads. Now, when I look at Lidcombe, for instance, and I see the two overhead bridges that we have there and how they cannot possibly address the needs of today. Those bridges were built in the last millennium and need to be replaced. Now, these bridges are the very bridges that are going to be handling the routes of trucks into Lidcombe and surrounding areas, and that's wrong. And this council has to be mindful of that, because not only are they going to ruin the amenity of life in Lidcombe of our residents, they're going to do it the same right throughout our Cumberland area. So you'll have streets like Amy Street, streets like Wellington Road, streets like Vaughan Street, and Arthur Street at Lidcombe, all covering massive trucks. And I'm very concerned about that. And I'm concerned because what's been highlighted to me are the residents' concerns. We're here to support the residents, and they are really concerned about this. So I make that point to the chamber tonight, and I support Councillor Hughes and her endeavours.
Thank you, Councillor. And I might say that appropriate submissions you might consider could be made before a planning panel at the appropriate time, but not at this council. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Zeta, thank you.
You, Madam Mayor, to the General Manager. I just wanted some clarification in respect to that advice that was just provided, respect of potentially talking about DAs in open council. Mm-hmm. Yes, I understand that we as a council are not no longer have a say in terms of whether DAs go through or not. But if a motion's been put forward in respect to a particular topic that or issue that may be impacted by a future or potential DA, and no one's talking about, we can't make a decision on it anyway. Is the advice that's been put forward that we cannot talk about that particular DA? Or, I mean, we're not about the intricacies, but in terms of what that DA represents for the local area.
Through you, Mayor, Councillor Zeta, my position on this matter, I think, one goes more broadly than I think what the legal advice was from Council's General Counsel. Council staff have to assess that DA, and so any discussion surrounding that DA should be kept to a minimum, particularly when we have the Director of Planning in the room, because it's his staff that assess the DA. So therefore, any discussion or any perception given by this chamber could be considered a negative perception and could be considered in the future to influence someone's decision. It also brings into doubt or cast doubt around matters such as the Code of Conduct, and there's certain procedures within Council's Code of Conduct and how councillors must conduct their business. But I also recognise the fact that councillors are also residents. And so there are appropriate times to make those representations as a resident, which I think the Mayor's made clear tonight. And then there's times in which you must act in a capacity as a councillor. And in this forum, I would strongly urge any councillor who wants to discuss a DA matter to, one, seek the advice of our staff, which in this case has occurred, and also, two, that when you want to talk, if you wish to speak on a DA matter, then keep it very broad. That's not official advice, but keep it very broad and don't identify the DA. It's pretty simple.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any further speakers on this matter? If not, there's been no speakers against the resolution. Councillor Hughes, did you wish to say anything further? I'll put the resolution. All those in favour? Aye. Anyone against? Councillor Hussain is against? No, I said aye. You said aye. I think I'll do a show of hands. All those in favour? Christy Cummings, Faruqi Hussain, Hamid Coleman, Sahar Lake, Garrard, Hughes, Zeta, and do we have Councillor Sarkis in favour? Thank you. Yep. All those in favour, I declare that carried unanimously.